Rail crane, Nordco. Preparing the machine for work. As which machine startup check if the preventive maintenance should be performed before you usually start with the suggest the following guidelines listed before actually operating the machine. Position the machine on level track so that the fluids can be accurately checked and filled in the necessary seat towing section with the machine is to be towed to the work site. Perform pre-operational inspection for the entire machine with the following page with the finding of defects and correct them before the serious damage the failure resolves. If necessary, follow any applicable instructions under the maintenance for extreme conditions. B. 5. Perform applicable preventive maintenance procedures in maintenance and service section. Be ready for this. Operate the machine with an alert and safety conscientious attitude. Understand the use of the machine. Lockup. See the lockup section. Make sure that the unit is set up in the rail for the ties and being you've worked upon adjusted and if required are described in the machine setup. 9. Wear proper safety and clothing. Before you begin startup checklist, you should be familiar with the controls that you should be checking. Know these controls and their functions may be helpful with you with troubleshooting of the machine at a later time. Alright, startup. Warning, this machine must not be used until it is inspected and operating properly. Do not operate this machine unless they have been properly trained and described in the operating safety manual with the qualified person authorized to operate the machine. Your training, including the reading and understanding of the safety, operation, maintenance, instruction in the manufacturer manual, knowing the employee's work rules and applicable government regulations. Follow the instruction of the operating manual. Applicable standard for the daily, frequent, and annual inspection of these may be obtained from the dealer. Authorized equipment dealer. Do not modify or change the machine without written approval of the manufacturer. Actually, operate the machine with extreme caution. Stop all operations and all malfunctions occur. Improper use of this machine could cause death or serious injury. Alright, engine operation caution. Before starting a new overhauled engine has been in storage or consult the engine manual for the initial startup instruction. Failure to follow these instructions can result in serious engine damage. And warning, exhaust emissions caused by using the machine may cause cancer, birth defects, or other reproductive harm if inhaled. Note: avoid unnecessary idling. Ensure the suction drainer valve on the hydraulic oil tank is open. Battery disconnection switch right side on the central console is on. Make sure the center of the emergency stop push button central console is pushed both out, and the brakes are set on both of the manual train brake on the lower frame and the valve in the term and the cab. Turn the ignition switch clockwise until the engine starts. Release the ignition switch. Will spring back in the center position. Allow 5 to 7 minutes for warm up first start of the day. No, engine will not start if the emergency stop push button is pushed in. If the engine fails to start within 30 seconds, allow the starting motor to cool a few minutes before trying again. Perform the startup checkup. Your startup checklist, general machine status. Verify all the low chart safety warning labels and control labels are present and legible. Make certain all the safety devices and function properly. Ensure swinging lockets installed between the counterweight of the lower deck of the prior to the engine starting. Check the hydraulic system hose and tubes and fittings for leaks. Inspect the lattice booms, checking for the bends or other damage. Do not operate the machine if defects are present. Inspect winches. Make sure that certain wire rope is properly reeved on the sheaves. Make certain all the connection pins and retaining devices are properly installed. Inspect the wire ropes. Do not operate the machine if defects are present. Check the damage, missing part of the crack, bends. If any of these are present, do not operate the machine until prepared. Operate all the alarms, lights and alarms and horns to check the proper operation. Test the anti-T blocking device to check for the proper operation. Inspect all the controls, cables, harnesses to make certain all the connections to tighten control function properly. Maintenance lubrication oil check. Check the engine oil level, check the engine coolant level, check the hydraulic tank level, tank fluid level, check the diesel fuel tank level fluid. Perform all the daily maintenance requirements. See inspection maintenance later in this manual. That was startup. Or continue with startup. And travel. If it's important that you read about the understanding all the operation controls of the caution warning dangers before traveling. Danger. Make certain that the area around the under the machine is clear with all the personnel obstruction before traveling and working. The failure to do so causes injury to death. General. This machine is equipped with a SAR +1 travel control module located inside the center of the control console. The control takes the inputs of the motor, gear shift switch, travel pedal, and control of the pump of the transmission to prevent the damage from the traction system of the engine that may be caused by the interior of the machine. Downshifting travel control module prevents the operator from downshifting too fast. This affects the dynamic braking with the machine. Press the fronting of the button with the left hand with the control will do one with the two things depending on the speed of the travel. If the speed within the safety zone with the gear, the transmission will downshift. The button should be pushed within its outside safety control zone with the downshift. The LED with the control console will come in and remain until the safe zone is reached. At the time of the gear will change. The dynamic braking will increase. It cannot be overridden except for the canceling of downshift that's hanging in the current gear, pressing the front top of the button on the hand controller. Engine speeds. Engine speed settings are preset with the high and low speeds are selected using the engine speed with the control switch on the center console. Control console. Engine speed should be at a high of 2100 RPMs during the travel and work operations at a low of 1100 RPMs while idling. Propelling. The propulsion pedal is a bidirectional pedal. Press the top of the pedal to propel the machine in one direction, the bottom of the pedal in the opposite direction. The harder you press on the pedal, the faster the machine will travel in the gear. Gear shifting is done through the use of the rocker switch on the left hand of the controller. Caution, the machine is equipped with a downshift protection. The travel control will also disallow delay downshifting when necessary to protect the engine from overspeeding. Operator of the machine must maintain the control speed using the air brake system on the inclines. Do not rely on the engine braking. Failure to do so could result in serious injury and damage to the machine. Note, if your speed is determined to be hue when attempting to downshift, then when the red downshift delay LEDs on the front console will come on. Once a low enough speed is reached, the transmission will downshift to cancel an unimpending downshift, pressing the gear up in speed to the rocker switch. Alright, to propel, make certain that the engine and the hydraulics are warmed up. Refer to the engine startup early in this section. Make sure that certain that all the brake valve in the cab, the main train brake wheel on the side of the lower frame are released so that you are applying the foot brake. And make certain that the suspension lockups have been removed with properly stored. And the engine has high speed using the engine speed throttle, the control switch on the center of the console. 5. Release the brake foot pedal. 6. Use the rocker switch on the left hand with the control front push button locking on the gear selection. LEDs on the center console. Pressing the switch in the up direction once and slowly press the propulsion pedal until the machine reaches the top speed in that gear. Release the pedal halfway at 50% and press the gear switch again and repeat until the desired speed of the gear has been reached. To change the direction, apply the brakes, then press the propulsion pedal from the opposite direction. When changing the direction, the transmission will automatically go into first gear. If you do not apply the brakes, dynamic braking will take place, but you will take a lot longer to stop. Disabling the propulsion pedal. You can disable the propulsion pedal by shifting down until the LED comes on, and the first gear of the LED will remain on as well. This is considered the default startup gear on the machine. Note that always shift the park and set the air brakes before leaving the cab for any reason braking. The machine is equipped with a hydrostatic drive in the system in which the pump and the motor work together to control the speed of the machine. Dynamic engine braking is a feature of the type of the system, but hydraulic limited on the machine because of the potential damage to the engine caused by the air brakes should always be used when the tandem of the dynamic braking to slow and stop the machine, especially on grades. To brake, slowly release the propulsion pedal, slowly apply the brake pedal, and downshift as permitted. Parking brakes. Warning, do not leave the crane unattended without testing the manual brake system. Failure to follow the parking brake procedure could result in runaway train, which may cause severe injury, death, as well as serious injury and machine damage. Parking brake procedures as follows. Ensure the machine has come to a complete stop and then shift the transmission to park. Set the train brakes at A9 hand valve. With the engine running and the air brakes set, and leave the cab to set the manual brakes on the crane and the hand wheel in the cars. Re-enter the cab, release the air brake, shift to the third gear, and use the travel pedal to attempt to move the crane in both directions. The manual brakes should resist all motion and shift transmission back to park. Shut down machine. Sorry, this page was intentionally left blank. Alright, section 5. Setting up the crane. Plan your lift. Proper rigging of the crane is the most critical part of the crane operation. Wrong choice can mean the difference between life and death. Danger. Keep on from under the crane loads. Danger. Failure to obey the following will result in death or serious injury and instability, structural damage. Reading, understanding the following: the crane load work area charts do not exceed the work winch of the crane ratings. Weight limited. Weighing the accuracy attached for the boom and the loading of the maybe must be deducted from the load chart. Ratings must be added with the load weight. Do not exceed the manual boom extension of jib. Load ratings to reduce the boom length. Before the crane can be properly rigged at all, the equipment should properly be inspected and all load tags on the equipment legible. Familiar yourself with all the components on which of the machine before you attempt to operate it. Make sure that you understand all the safety precautions listed in the safety section of this manual. The high volume track installation. The full loaded chart rating should be reduced by 20% if high speed, highest volume track of the installation is being done. The speed of these operating procedures increase the crane loads from side loads, swing out and impact, as well as higher temperatures and critical components such that therefore as brake clutches, pumps, motors, and therefore ratings should be reduced. Additional rapid hoist acceleration produced the hook load higher than the actual load weight. Danger to not exceed the workload limit. Sliding angles affect the load capacity. The angles of slings you add for your lift effects of the loading capacity of the sling must be taken into account prior to any lifting activities. Alright, rapid stopping of loads. Rapid stopping of loads increase the hook load of the ultimate of the stopping distance for the load. Take care of the stopping load. 100 feet is at 4%, 4 points of a percent. Six stopping feet is 6 feet. 7%, 2.2%, 150, 1.0, 1.6, and 4.9. These are read by 10 by 6s, 10 by 6 by 2. Limited line speed of 200 feet per minute, 1.7%, 2.9, and 8.6%. 250, 2.7 to 4.5, and 13.5%. 300, 3.9%, 6.5%, 19.4%, and 350, 5.3%, 8.8%, and 2.64%. Are rapidly releasing off. When you release the road, suddenly the crane will be boom will subject to the recoil, followed by the hook, full weight of the load being applied to the hook. The sudden release of the energy could result in the machine tipping and then even in structural failure in the lattice boom. All loads should be gently raised and lowered. In an event of the emergency, is free to fall. The valve next to the left-hand control is to be used, but the use is only when the personnel are not in the harm's way. Rapid swinging rate. Rapid swinging rate. Load charge. The rating is applied only when the load is vertically in line with the boom tip at all times. Rapid swing rates, like on any high-speed track, and the installation makes it an impossible condition for the meet. The Nordco's load charge does not allow the rapid swing rates and base of the machine being perfectly level in all directions. The swing rate must be adjusted to keep the load directly below the boom tip at all times. The centrifugal force for the high-speed swing with the creates for the high forward with the tipping load for the high boom, the angle, the boom with the collapsible over the back of the machine, the boom motion of the accelerated with the decelerated rapidly, super elevated track with the sense Nordco load charge based on the machine, being perfectly level. The working on the super elevated track causes the single load of the machine, and therefore load capacity is no longer. Super elevation values are shown in the load chart. Boom angle, the capacity listed on load charts are also based on the variety of the boom angle of the machine, goes the boom of the machine deflection as well as dependent stretch of the boom and angle will differ between the new load, no load, and loaded conditions. Working near the transmitters. When operating near a radio or TV or microwave transmitter of the crane boom, the load can become electrically charged. While not as dangerous as hitting a live electrical lines, it can still cause the burners of personal handling of the load. Anti-tube blocking system. Safety. The machine is equipped with an anti-tube blocking system. Do not rely on the system. Use a good judgment, experience, and accepted safe crane operation practices. Alright, danger. The boom down, boom extending, winch pull. The blocking of the crane will cause the death, serious, and two blocking the crane will cause the death, serious injury, property of the damage. Do not allow the hook block to come in contact with the boom tip, hoisting the tip, of the extending of the lower of the boom. Alright, two blocking the winch cable that can happen with the untrained and experienced operative. Two blocking occurs when the winch cable has been retracted too fast and if the boom is extended without letting it out of the cable. Either way, the winch cable can be damaged or crimping over the tension of the sheave may also be damaged. The anti-tube blocking system helps prevent the kind of damage, sensing the position of the winch of the cable attachments, respect of the sheave case, and shutting down the function of the causing the tube blockage. Alright, danger. Failure to maintain the anti-tube blocking system will result in the death or serious injury. The anti-tube blocking system on the crane must be tested daily for the proper operation. See owner's manual detail. When the anti-blocking tube is activated with the boom telescope winch up, the function will cease the operation to restore the normal function of the winch down. The function retraction function must be operative until the load locking block allows the anti-tube blocking sensing weight at the sheave case to hang freely. Normal function of the crane restored with the winching down, letting out lines of retracting. Boom until the anti-blocking weight is suspended freely with the crane capacity, but the machine comes equipped with load to moment indicator of the panel of the alarm system now admitted the assist the end operating with making lifts. However, the recommendation of the Nordco operating calculated with the lifting capability of their own use of the load indicator to verify the result. Connecting the magnet, the machine can be run with or without a magnet. However, do not turn the generator on unless the magnet is attached. Testing the LMI. The lifting capacity for the crane varies according to the height of the angle of the boom, the angle over the center line of the machine, the weather, the condition, the type of the load being lifted. Refer to Section 2 General for the detailed information regarding the crane capacity. In addition with the following, note the capacity of the crane, note the weight of the load being lifted that do not exceed the capacity of the crane. Add weight of any of the load, and all load handling devices of load capacity to determine the actual load capacity. Brief the crew workers before who we're working with. Safety and the primary concern when working with a crane. Danger, keep clear of the swing radius of the crane. Tell them never to enter the swing radius of the working crane unless the absolutely necessary. Tell them the crane operator is concentrating on the load, not stray workers. Weather safety conditions. The weather conditions can adversely affect the lifting activity that need to be thoroughly considered during the planning of the execution of the lift. Special efforts may be required to ensure that adequate warning is provided to avoid sudden storm from disrupting lifting and progress. Operation Extreme Cold. General problem. Extreme cold generally causes the fluid and thickening of the gel present with the risk of the freezing weakening with the battery can crack. The electrical insulation causes the difference, starting with the cause of the rubber and plastic parts to become hard, brittle, and easily damaged. Lubrication. The use of the correct grade of lubrication wherever the use of the machine drain and refill the lubrication is not correct with the cold weather operation. See lubrication under the surface of maintenance. Cold weather also can cause the moisture of the accumulated lubricants if the water is found with any lubrication drain and refill. Fuel system precautions can be taken with the car to keep the moisture out of the fuel system. Keep the fuel tank as possible to avoid condensation. Remove the ice and stove from the area with the fill opener and before refilling. Whenever the moisture does accumulate in the fuel system, drain water from the tank of the filters. If the fuel is seriously contaminated with the moisture, drain, flush, and refuel tank. Fuel tank. Battery. Keep the battery fully charged. Cranking power of the battery is reduced in extreme cold. Engine operation. Running engine at low speeds only and long enough to circulate the oil through the engine, and then increasing the speed to warm up the engine. Extending the idling during the extreme cold temperatures can cause incomplete combustion and heavy deposit in the formation of the valves. Operation extreme heat. General precautions must be taken to avoid overheating. Check with the temperature gauge frequently for indication of overheating. When overheated, will allow the engine to idle until the temperature is reduced. Cool system. Check the condition of the cooling fins frequently. Keep the fins and air duct clean with free of the dirt that would reduce the efficiency. Replace the fan belt when that is cracked, frayed, or excessively worn. Lubricate the machine with the correct grade of lubricants according to the lubricating instruction. Change the filter elements for the shorter intervals for the normal air cleaner. Check the restriction indicator. Frequently service the air cleaner if it's short than normal intervals. Operating under the rainy and humid conditions. Keep the fuel tank as soon as possible. Then service of the fuel fillers more often than normal. Lubrication keep all the moving as well. Lubricated paint. If the paint is shipped with the scratch effective with the air, should be refinished immediately to prevent the rapid formation of the rust. Remove all the loose paint within the paint. Remove with the sandpaper to sandblasting equipment. Allow 2 coats of the primer, and while drying, and apply the finish of the coat with the paint. Operation of dusty and sandy areas. Generally, sandy and dusty abrasive which can cause the wear of many of the parts of the machine. Airborne sand and dust can clog the air cleaners and coolers and radiator. Try to store the machine in a sheltered area where not in use. Air cleaners. Check the air cleaner indicator frequently to reduce the surface intervals for the air cleaner. Cleaning of the air is often necessary to prevent it from being clogged. Lubrication and lubricated with the machine more often than specified lubricating chart. Clean all the fittings of the operating openings bare for lubrication to keep out the sand and dust. To make sure similar precaution lubricating containers. Operation in salty water areas. In saltwater areas, to keep the machine as clean as possible. Salt water vapor in the air causes the corrosion of the exposed parts after the operation, which was fresh water and available to keep all lubrication and points wiped clean and well lubricated. Alright, machine danger. Crossing out of death or serious injury could result from the being of the crush of the moving of the machine. Clear all the personnel from the counterweight of the superstructure area before the rotating the superstructure. Follow the instructions of the operator and safety handbook. Superstructure rotation can crush you. The crane operator maintenance personnel have the responsibility to familiarize themselves with all safety precautions applicable to the operation of the machine. This includes, but is not limited to, the documentation within the operational manual, company training procedure, and all government, U.S. and Canada regulations and/or codes before operating the machine. Always hit the brakes before beginning with the crane operation. Always keep the load as close to the ground as possible. Never swing a load so that it passes over the personnel on the ground. Always make certain that the area around the superstructure is clear of all personnel proper to the rotation. 5. Never rotate the crane too fast for the load applied. Never operate the crane if the boom is going to be within 10 feet of the power line. Never exceed the lifting capacity. Don't remember to deduct the weight of any load of the handling equipment with the rated with the capacity. Never relay solely with the load made indicator installed in this machine. 9. Never leave load suspended into the air. Number, use the voice of the drag and load into the position before lifting. 12. Never side load the boom with the dragging of the load from the side. Never pull the load block and sheave back if it should make a contact with the boom tip. 13. Always pay out the load before raising the boom. With the failure to do so will cause the two blocking machines. 4. Never operate the crane during an electrical system or the storm or the high wind conditions. And 5. Never attempt to service or repair the crane while the crane is operating. 16. To make certain that you have read and understand all the safety issues related to the machine prior to the operation. 17. Allow the make slow movements when the position of the boom when making lifting and placing. Fast jerky movements may cause stress and damage bird caging of the winch cables and may cause danger hazard when lifting. Always make certain that there is at least 3 full wraps of wire rope and cable on the winch drum at all times. To operate this machine, use the left-handed control position crane as close to the job as possible. Avoid overheating and obstruction on the work of the side of the unit. Using the right-hand control to lower the main with the control of the pushing forward on the hand controller. If using the magnet, turn of the generator. Allow the generator to run approximately 5 minutes. Then turn on the magnet using the top push button on the front and the right-hand controller. Danger: keep from under the crane's loads. Emergency procedure: if hydraulic hose fails, shut down the machine immediately. Replace those indications of the gouging are not within the normal range. Shut down the engine. Repair them before further operation. Warning: while the crane is supporting with the load, there is a stretch of the boom pendant for the cable to deflection of the boom structure. If the event of the free fall is required with the load to suddenly release, the boom will spring backwards when the pendant stretches. The boom deflection canes out. Occurs when the boom is raised at a high angle. Then the boom could topple back over the crane. For this reason, would be extremely cautious when suddenly releasing the load. If the rapid release of the load is required, make certain all personnel are away from the area and before pressing the emergency free fall position button. Warning: if the engine and power is lost and stopped and set with the manual brakes, failure to do so could result in the runaway train, which may cause the severe injury or death as well as serious machine damage. Emergency pump procedures: to lower the boom, locate the opening of the emergency boom layer of the ball valve. The mount near the emergency pump below the winches. You will need to use the access door in the cab. The main operator's seat, the press line, hold the emergency pump rocker switch located on the center console. This will release the brake on which for as long as you are holding it, the brake will be reapplied once you let it go. There is no provision for the raising of the boom, so you do not lower it more than necessary. Important: close the ball valve open in the step number 1. 2. Raise lower the main winch to the swing of the machine. Ensure the emergency boom lower ball valve is closed and with the key on. Press it and hold the emergency pump rocker switch located on the center console. While holding the switch and using joysticks for manipulating the swing of the main winch functions. After operation, General put the travel the work switch in the travel mode with the raise of the work head with the clamps to do it. Insert the lock of the device to set the engine speed low with the turn off thump and let the engine idle with the 5 minutes for the cool down engine shut off engine. Then return all the switches to their pre-operational state with using the pre-operational checklist as guided. Install the hand control over the lower logic box. Cover and secure them all with the padlocks. Turn off the battery switch. Disconnect the lock battery in the boxing. Locating the machine on the level track area if possible, whether or not be exposed to excessive dust. If the machine was towed, disconnect towing and set with the brakes and move the towing of the vehicle where clear of the parked machine. Towing. The towing of the crane and the train consists of the following steps must be taken. Avoid injuring the boom can fall when pins are removed. Do not remove the pins until the boom is supported properly when blocking of the boom. Suspension ropes are relocated to distribute the operator's manual. In the absence of sufficient information in this manual, consult with your manufacturer. Do not deface. Remove the label from this machine. Alright, 1. Remove the suspension lockout plates of the machine that traveled mode. Restore the placement of the holder directly above the axle on the outside of the frame. Disconnect the boom with the crane and body. Disconnect the remove of the box of both of the axle drive shaft and ensure the brakes of the release with the train brake lines are attached on both ends of the test brake. 5. Do not exceed 30 miles an hour when towing this crane. This page is intentionally left blank.